1995. Four people went to Atami, a hot spring town just outside Tokyo, soaking in hot springs, drinking, talking, 3 days, 2 nights. They had one thing to decide: what kind of game to make next. These four were from a small company called Media Vision, founded just 2 years ago, about 10 people. The president, Takashi Fukushima, used to work at an old game studio called Telenet. He heard Sony was building a new console. He saw his chance and pulled a few people out to start a company. Their first game was called Crime Crackers. Launched the same day as the PlayStation itself, 7 months from start to finish. Not a great game, but they learned 3D. Now Sony wanted them to make an RPG. To show off the PS's 3D power. But they only had 10 people. Full 3D was impossible, so they came up with a compromise. Exploration in 2D pixel art. Battles in 3D. They reused the 3D engine from Crime Crackers. The setting decided at that hot spring in Atami. Italian spaghetti westerns meets Japanese RPG. Akifumi Kaneko was the heart of this project. Game design, story, world building, all him. He originally wanted to be a manga artist. Drew Ultraman comics as a kid. His friends laughed at his art style. Later, he saw a job listing from Telenet, thought it looked easy, so he applied. Turns out he really liked making games. Kaneko said his inspiration wasn't Hollywood westerns. It was Japanese mashup works, old samurai dramas like Hisatsu Shigetonen, tokusatsu shows like Lion Maru, and Yasuhiro Nighthow's manga Trigun. He watched all of these and thought, anything goes. Samurai drama and westerns can mix. So why not RPG and westerns? The composer was Michiko Naruke. She and Kaneko were colleagues at Telenet. Naruke learned electronic organ as a kid. Had trouble reading sheet music, so she invented her own notation system, played saxophone in her high school brass band. At Telenet, she didn't just compose. She had to do her own sampling and coding too. When Kaneko started his company, he brought her in as a dedicated composer. For her, it was a turning point. She could finally just write music when she wrote the Wild Arms theme song. She made a deliberate design choice. The melody couldn't be too wide. The range had to stay within a comfortable zone, so that ordinary people could whistle it. Her inspiration was Ennio Morricone, the man who wrote the music for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Whistling, guitar, trumpet, harmonica, that combination is one of a kind in game music history. December 20th, 1996. Wild Arms launched in Japan. The moment that whistle played, players knew this game was different. The opening animation was made by Madhouse, the same studio that later made Death Note and One Punch Man. 6 weeks later, Final Fantasy VII arrived. Wild Arms sold 250,000 copies in its first 2 weeks. For a 10-person team, that's pretty good, but FF7 sold over 10 million. From that point on, Wild Arms lived forever in FF's shadow. Kaneko had a saying, treat every game like it's your last, give it absolutely everything, and he meant it. The second game came on 2 discs, with 2 different opening animations. The third moved to PS2, used a technique that made 3D look like animation, painted an entire desert world. No oceans, barely any grass. Why did the world end up like this? That question itself was the story. In fan polls, the third game often ranked number 1. Famitsu gave it 32 out of 40. Then the fourth game went wrong. The western feel was gone, replaced by sci-fi ruins. The world map was cut, replaced by level select. Naruk got sick. For the first time in the series, she couldn't finish the entire soundtrack. Fans said this isn't Wild Arms. The 5th was a 10th anniversary celebration. Kaneko stepped back to producer, handed the design to younger staff. He said it gives the game a different flavor. They achieved things I couldn't do myself. Nearly every protagonist from past games made a cameo, like a farewell performance. 2007, the last game came out on PSP, a tactical RPG, brutally hard. And then there was nothing. 2008, Kaneko left Media Vision. He had pitched Sony over and over. Let me make another Wild Arms. Sony said no, over and over. The Wild Arms IP belongs to Sony. Kaneko walked away with nothing. 2018, Sony released a mobile game. Wild Arms, Million Memories, not made by Media Vision. Shut down after about a year. Apparently, the player base collapsed within a month, 2022. Kaneko brought Naruke and the old Wild Arms team. They launched a crowdfunding campaign, Armed Fantasia, not called Wild Arms, because that name no longer belongs to him. But everyone knew what it was. They raised 379% of their goal. The whistle played one more time. This series was never the strongest, never the best-selling. But Naruke once said something: Wild Arms has a lot of female players. I believe a truly good game appeals equally to boys and girls. More than 20 years later, that whistling melody still gives you goosebumps. Follow me. We'll talk again next time.